Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are back once again, back on the wing with another Scottish Falcons show. It's time to rise up. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. Rejoined again by my co-host with the most. Now that Christmas and New Year's all said and done, I've got the dynamo of the Scottish Falcons. Des, how you doing, man?
Good,
Did you have a
mate.
nice Christmas and New Year, first off?
Absolutely fantastic, mate. Absolutely fantastic. What did we miss? Did we miss anything? Don't think anything happened, mate.
No,
You know what I mean?
don't know much.
Nothing happened. So yeah, I just had a chilled out Christmas, great New Year, and obviously there was no point coming on, mate, because nothing happened anyway. So
Yeah.
we were out we were out the playoffs 6 weeks ago, and
Yeah. It's like,
yeah.
there's no point talking about Falcons playoffs at Christmas when you knew you weren't making it by Halloween. So,
I mean, the funniest thing is that we actually tied the Bucks and the Panthers after being effectively out of contention for the NFC South over a month before the end of the season. We actually ended up tying them. I mean, honestly,
yeah, it's a crazy league. And then at one point, obviously, earlier on in the season, we were all going, "Nah, it'll never be Carolina. It's either going to be Tampa Bay or Atlanta. That's it." And then Carolina go and take the division just to spite us. It's the beauty of being an NFC South fan. You never quite know what you're going to get.
No, we need to correct that, mate. Panthers didn't win it. We won it for them.
Aye. That's it. It was the Atlanta Panthers or the Carolina Falcons, I think, the last 2 weeks of the season there, especially against New Orleans. And we've already got some early fans checking in with us. I think we've been missed, Des. So shout out to our brother from another mother, Floyd. Good to see you, brother. Rise up. And then we've got Georgia, Texas boy. What's up, brother? Good to see you in the chat as always. Miss Sonia's there as well. Lady Bird's always showing some love. You know how we do. Shout out to Mad Mike as well. He's in the building throwing up some horns. We love to see that. In the red and blacks, which you love to see too. So it's great to see you all on. As always,
another one there from Corey Gear 5. So
Panthers winning. Yes.
Yeah. I was actually going to say the worst thing about it is when they swept us and they put on that picture on Twitter, and it was effectively their stadium and it was a cat litter.
Yeah.
And I was like, you honestly.
I'm going to want to take some scalps for that one. I want revenge next season. Like they're no ifs, ands, or buts. We are a better team than Carolina. Like, yes, Bryce Young's okay. Yeah, Ted McMillan's nice, but we should never have been swept by those boys. Not in the least. And that's why I feel like it was a great point that Mr. Blank made in the press conference where he said that a big thing about what we're doing moving forward is that we need to know that we've got guys in positions who can take accountability for where we're going wrong if we're going wrong with this team. And I think that's something that we made a big point all season long, was the fact that it was always, we just need to be better. There was no, I wasn't good enough, I need to coach, but there was none of that. And like as I say, Des, maybe you had something higher on your list of priorities, but somebody who's accountable and is going to lead for the front was what I was looking for, number one.
I mean, I think after 82 years, I think after Blank snapped, I think so, because he threw everybody under that bus at that press conference, because he mentioned accountability. He mentioned that obviously we're going to discuss it, what Matt Ryan's role was. He talked about the vision. There was no vision when they brought this sportology in. One of the main things they pointed out, that there was no vision for the team. The way I would look at it, well, it's a bit like there was plenty of chefs, but no head chef. There was nobody there taking the reins to say, this isn't acceptable, that shouldn't happen, we need to go that way. And that's why Matt Ryan's been brought in. again, but this goes back to the Ike Hilliard sacking. Why? So effectively, listening to a few other podcasts and other people from Atlanta, seemingly Ike Hilliard they were looking to possibly move on from him at the end of last season, but they then kept him this season. But as I think it was Kevin Knight that mentioned on the Falcoholic, they didn't bring anybody in as a backup in case it continued the way it continued the last year. I'll go back to with Raheem Morris always wanting to be somebody's pal. That's the biggest issue. He sacked a offensive coach that didn't need sacking, or at some point the decision should have been made before the start of the season. Whatever was happening, whether he was disobeying what was getting said by the head coach or the offensive coordinator, whatever, they talked about communication. Well, that doesn't happen in 3 games. That's been consistent. So this is why I kept on saying that the Atlanta Falcons would be a fantastic team, but the small wee mistakes they're always making. We then sit and look at the fact that the specials team was an abomination this year, an abomination, and effectively Marquise Williams got to the end of the season. You then look back, and again, this is what you look at. It's habitual. That's why we could not have continued with Raheem Morris. You then look back to Jimmy Lake last year. Jimmy Lake, after 4 games, everybody could see it was not a defensive coordinator. He shouldn't have been there. Halfway through the season, we hear that, well, at the end of the season, halfway through the season, we hear that Raheem Morris has took over the play calling for the defense, right? But this is the issue. If he wasn't good enough, if he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do, why are we continuing to pay his wages to the end of the season? If it's broke, fix it. Not fix it in 2 months' time. Not fix it in 4 months' time. If it's broke, fix it now. That was the biggest issue I had with Raheem Morris.
And Zach Robinson, to be fair, because to your point, Des, like Zach Robinson's interviewing for the job at Detroit. Can you picture Dan Campbell if he turns up in Detroit with that style of play calling? He's not going to last till mid-season. And this is one of the things I said. Like, although they missed the playoffs, if they were willing to get rid of Dan Campbell, he would have been right at the front of my list, because he's the kind of guy I'm looking for in terms of he's a leader first. He will tell you what he wants, and he'll get down and he'll put a hand in the mud and show you what he wants. And this is kind of the attitude that I wanted from my head coach. Not this trying to be buddy. Oh, it's okay. It'll get better. As Georgia Texas boy says, we'll find a way, but we didn't. So it was all white noise after a point, and I'm sure you were all as sick of hearing it as we were.
Yeah, I mean, there was no, as Arthur Blank said, the accountability wasn't there. We were watching. I mean, like effectively, you watched Michael Penix getting coached completely different to how Kirk Cousins play calling. I mean, it was ridiculous. Zach Robinson was coming out and saying that Michael Penix Jr. didn't want to be under center because that's not what he's used to, and Kirk Cousins. I mean, it was just garbage. It was bluster, mate. And I've always said when incompetent coaches feel under pressure, they go out there and they blow bluster, mate. You know what I mean? And again, Arthur Blank brought that up and said it numerous times, accountability. What shocks me, and again, we'll talk about it later, what shocks me is that there's still a lot of the Atlanta media don't understand what Matt Ryan's role is. I understand it easy. Effectively, Matt Ryan has been a quarterback for 15 years. And at no point was Matt Ryan ever able to look and see the offense and the team that he wanted, that he could then make that happen. He had some of the worst defensive coordinators and some of the worst defenses in any time in the NFL. The best defense he had was in 2016, and that was number 15. So he had bang average, if not bad defenses all through his time. We now get to a point where Matt Ryan's still the quarterback. In his head, he's still that quarterback. He's looking at what he wants. I'm out there. I'm the quarterback. What do I want from my head coach? What do I want from my defensive coordinator? What do I want from my offensive coordinator? And he's looking at all this, and he's still, as I say, he's still the quarterback of that team. And what he wants to do is he just wants to mold that team around what he sees and what he has seen historically to be the best teams. And he then is in control of accountability. He's the guy that turns around and says, no, we're not sacking Ike Hilliard. Why are we looking to fire Ike Hilliard? What's your thoughts? What's the decision on that? Literally after 4 or 5 games, the special team isn't good enough. What are we doing to improve it, Raheem Morris? What's happening? Raheem Morris isn't going to go to a Matt Ryan and say, we just need to improve. Right, okay, I understand that we need to improve. I'm not the press. This ain't bluster and fluster that you hit them with. What are you doing to improve? You tell me now what you're doing to improve. What I'm seeing on the park is not acceptable. The one thing you'll say about Matt Ryan is Matt Ryan will throw himself under the bus for this team. That's the one thing I will say about that man. That man, you cut that man open, and it's a Falcons logo inside him. You know what I mean? And that's what I love about this. This guy will do anything he can to get that championship.
100%, and that's why, like, I agree with Floyd. I love the fact that Matt Ryan's been brought in, and I'll rip the band-aid off and we can go into the new hires, because this, by extension, covers Greg Beadles too. He's been around the Falcons organization since 1996, so he knows how things work. Similarly with Matt Ryan, I feel like, yes, we need more accountability, and yes, we need to make a better account of ourselves, but taking what Southside Ricky has said there into account as well, building a dominant offensive line for Penix and Bijan, I feel like that would be a good port of call, because obviously we don't know where we're going to be O-line wise with the injuries from last season. We don't know where Caleb's at. We don't know where Jake's at. Also, Jake's going to be going into his age 33 season now. So, and the guy we got last year, and Jack Nelson, doesn't look like the guy just yet. I'm not saying I'm out on him completely. There's still time, but yeah, offensive line would be a big point at where I'm looking. I'd also be looking at getting as I say, through the draft, through the free agency, a suitable, capable wide receiver too, because Mooney's playing like a 3. I'd maybe get corner 2, possibly nose tackle. But that's all stuff you can address, as I say, draft or free agency wise. But just like, yeah, I did add a video for tonight's show, because I will say that we're so excited in so many ways by this hire that if you're not set for this season, I'm not going to tell you anything, but I'll let the man tell you himself.
6.5 yards per carry tonight to Ron Ward. Numbers 5 per carry in their win.
Yeah, so if you ain't by now, the man said it. But yeah.
So this is where I'm at. See, Rise Up can go do one to me. As far as I'm concerned, I think the new mantra should be Get Set. Obviously, we can't be effing and jeffing, but it should be Get Set. Now, the funny thing about that video is, I think, is it Mohamed Sanu that's standing next to Julio Jones?
Yeah, it was.
And seemingly everybody thought they were shouting at him. this is what I love about Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan was shouting that effectively his future Hall of Famer Julio Jones. He was shouting at Julio Jones to get set. Now that tells you this man is a winner. When you watch that press conference, that was a man who got another chance. That was a man who Father Time was taking over his body and he wasn't able to do it anymore. But you look at that man was literally 2008 Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan looks revigorated. He knows he's still got a chance. Not on the park, but he's still got a chance to win this championship. Whether it's in the back office or the front office or whatever, he's got a chance of winning this championship. And I know for a fact that if it means as we always say, if we see something in this team that we think is impeding this team, we'll say it. Whether anybody takes it the way they want it or not, I don't care. That what I love about Matt Ryan is not scared to come forward, as we've seen in that video. Matt Ryan's not scared to effectively say to Julio Jones, get set. The one thing I would say is that probably the most open video is the Tony Gonzalez video. Now, Tony Gonzalez was effectively at the end of his career. This was like 2011. And Matt Ryan, you see him on the sideline and Matt Ryan's telling him what he wants to do. Now, at this point, Tony Gonzalez had been in the league over a decade. And he turns to the camera and said, that's why he's great. That's my quarterback. Now, that's Tony Gonzalez that's saying that. You know what I mean? That's what I love about Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is not going to be your friend. Matt Ryan is going to do what has to be done to win. And that's how I love this announcement, mate. Is he there? Oh, he's gone. Let's jump into the comments. So, again, Southside Ricky. Even after Terry disrespected and disregarded Matt and his legacy, he's still in the Falcons office and about to bring us the promised land. I think probably the funniest thing is that we all know that Matt Ryan and the appointment was long-term, probably going back possibly a month before it ever became known that it was a potential chance that was going to happen. This is how, I'll say about Matt Ryan being nobody's friend. There's no doubt that Arthur Blank asked Matt Ryan, what about Raheem and what about Terry? And the reason that they're not there is the fact that Matt Ryan has said, no, bin them, get rid of them. Obviously, Matt Ryan seen what Terry Fontenot done in his first season and how he handled. Again, we only know what we always say and speculate that it was Arthur Blank that effectively pushed the Deshaun Watson thing. What I would say is that Matt Ryan has got a love for Arthur Blank that's I would say doesn't show that's what happened. That effectively it was Arthur Blank that made that decision. So I think it's been Rich McKay and Terry Fontenot. The other thing again as well is that effectively Matt Ryan's seen how Terry Fontenot worked in the back. He's seen all that. You know what I mean? He obviously, I think with the last year's draft, I think Terry Fontenot probably deserved more, but it got to a point where effectively it should have been fire everybody, and that's what's happened. And Matt Ryan, that would have been on Matt Ryan, because Arthur Blank came out in the press conference and says it's Matt Ryan's choice who he picks for head coach and for general manager. So his first port of call was the fact that, Raheem's not doing it. Get rid of him. Now, bearing in mind that Matt Ryan has been long-term around Raheem Morris through the Dan Quinn years, and even when Dan Quinn went, it was as the caretaker. You know what I mean? So Matt Ryan, again, I'll go back, and I know I'm thinking on a bit, but all Matt Ryan is doing is Matt Ryan is looking at 2016 and saying, how can we do that? How can we bring that feeling that we had in 2016 and make it happen? And when Matt Ryan looks at, you've got good, better, best. When Matt Ryan looks at best, he looks at 2016 and he looks at what we had then. And that's what Matt Ryan is want to achieve. And that's what I'm excited for, because this is effectively a quarterback that's picking his coaching staff. He's picking what he wants. And again, he talks in the press conference about how he wants guys that can take over a changing room, guys that effectively have got a leadership quality, just everything that he's seen probably in Mike Smith and Dan Quinn. They were long-term coaches with the Falcons. The other thing to look at it as well with Matt Ryan as well is that in the first year with CBS, he was effectively a colour commentator. So he was touring all over each game, and that was allowing him to see the front office and how the front office for all these teams work. He would meet with them during the week before the games and everything, speak to the general manager, speak to the head coach, speak to the players, all that kind of stuff. So effectively, he's learned so much in that 3 years. Plus, obviously, he had I keep on forgetting his name, the historic Pittsburgh Steelers head coach that was on the panel.
Yeah,
starts with a mate. Is it Coward or
Coward? Colin Coward. Yeah.
So again, I mean, the one thing about Matt Ryan is Matt Ryan will tell you to your face what he thinks, and that gives you, and that allows people to have a respect that they wouldn't have for the other ones, the people that are just kind of saying things behind your back. The Raheem Morrises that when he should be in the changing room talking to the players in the middle of the half break, he's running up the field and kissing the guy on CBS or whatever it is in the back of the neck. I mean, just I mean, the news is that he might go to a TV, perfect for Raheem Morris, because he's a TV producer's dream. He wants to be everybody's pals. He's not going to be controversial. He's not going to throw people under the bus. He'll be nice and icy, and the nicest possible way. Just not a head coach.
Yeah, and I think it's long gone the time where we want our team to be nice. I'd rather our team was effective at what they do. I've seen enough teams where we're like, great bunch of guys, 6 wins in a season, but great bunch of guys, and I don't want to be doing that again. We're far too talented for that. But a great question from Strapped Up. I know your thoughts, Des, and it looks like Kubiak is going to be the favourite, but I like Kubiak too. I think he's a fantastic coach. It did throw a spanner in the works, I won't lie, when Mike Tomlin walked, or was told to walk rather. But if you can get a really good OC to pair with him as HC, that would be good. But I feel like Tomlin's downfall, as I've said before on the show, is that he struggles with. He's a great defensive mind. He's a defensive guru, but the offense is where we need work. So that's where I would fall off on Tomlin and come back to Kubiak. But as I say, I mean, look at the interviews the last few days as well. I mean, we've had the DC from Green Bay in. We've just done McDaniel as well. There was another one that you mentioned just as we were in the prep for the show as well. So I mean, we're doing our diligence.
It was. Let me just see. Jesse Minter, the Chargers defensive coordinator.
That wouldn't be bad. Like I've got a lot of respect for Jesse Minter and what he can potentially bring, but not on the same level again as a Kubiak or even a Tomlin.
No. I mean, from my point of view, mate, again, so many Atlanta Falcons fans talked about, we watched, again, I'll go back to 2016, we watched the reason we got to the Super Bowl walk out the door and effectively took most of the coaches with him to San Francisco 49ers. Now, if you ask anybody about Kyle Shanahan isn't known as the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. Kyle Shanahan is known as the head coach of the 49ers. Kyle Shanahan had no, apart from the Super Bowl loss, had no baggage getting into San Francisco, right? Mike Tomlin has got baggage, right? Bear in mind, right? So this is the things that I'm going to rule this man out for, right? This is a man that came on a podcast show and said that Raheem Morris was the best coach in the NFL without a head coaching job, right? Nah, right? We then look at the fact
that one wrong.
Yes, right. Then he then decides 2 seasons ago to bring in his offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith. That, you know what I mean? That they 2 strikes and you are out, Mike Tomlin. You know what I mean? For me, the third strike is the fact that I think he's lost. He's fell out of love with the game. I think you can see him standing up in that press box, talking to the press. He doesn't want to be there. He hates it. He's fell out of love with football. That man needs to get bored. That's all I'm saying. That's a man that has to wake up one Saturday morning, go out to the garden, throw his spatula in the dirt and say, enough's enough, I need to get back to football. That's what that man has to do. He needs to get the love back for football. And I do not want to bring in, I seen a tweet on X and it said that in the history of the NFL, no coach has ever won a Super Bowl with one team and then went to another team and won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, actually. I was trying to think if I could think of one, but you're right. I don't think that's ever happened.
Right.
Which is pretty crazy to think. And again, that's not just Tomlin you're throwing in then, that would be Harbaugh as well, had he taken the job.
Yeah.
Even if you're broadening it and speaking about guys like the names escape me. He used to coach with Seattle, now he's at Vegas. Pete Carroll.
Yeah,
he's another one. Like, a Super Bowl ring is great to have, but the one thing that got me thinking about Tomlin wasn't the fact that he had got into the postseason so many times. It was the fact that he had 19 seasons and not one was a losing year. So if he could bring that pedigree over, but then, as you say, he has made some quite glaring bad decisions as well in the last couple of years.
But mate, this Atlanta, the fans around the world, we'd love to have winning seasons. We want one thing, mate. We want a championship, right?
Yeah.
Now, for me, Harbaugh was never the answer. Again, you'll see a lot of fans when they let him go. You've seen a lot of fans of the Ravens coming on and saying, "Fantastic, congratulations! I'm delighted. I'm delighted he's gone." You know what I mean? That tells me a lot of things. You hear Harbaugh brings a lot of baggage. Mike Tomlin brings a lot of baggage. I want my head coach to start his story in Atlanta. That's what I want. I want to be in 2016 and effectively be in a position where you look at somebody like Shanahan and you go, we're going to have him. And there's only one man. And I had to remind a few people on Twitter the day who were questioning Clint Kubiak. Now, I'll just refresh everybody's memory, right? 2024, start of the season, the Aints play the Panthers. First game of Clint Kubiak as offensive coordinator, 47-10, destroys them. right? The next week, they play Dallas, 44-19. Absolutely destroys the Cowboys, which I know you'll enjoy that bit.
Oh, that sounded real good. Say it a little louder.
Derek Carr then gets injured, and it all goes downhill after that. He's at a point where he then has to look at bringing in Spencer Rattler and all that, right? He then goes to Seattle. Seattle is #1 offense. You actually seen a video the day Derek Carr talks about how simple he makes the offense, how easy it is for the quarterback to understand what Clint Kubiak wants him to do. Clint Kubiak is again took Sam Darnold. Now Sam Darnold done well again in the Minnesota Vikings, but there was a chance that he's learned this. He's moving here. He's going to struggle. Sam Darnold is effectively a scheme quarterback and a fantastic scheme. And Sam Darnold won't hide the fact that that's what's happening. He's a fantastic scheme quarterback.
Yeah, I would put Sam Darnold in the same list as your Brock Purdy's and guys like that. They're guys who are in a situation where they are basically put in there to excel, and they bring all the tools, and obviously they're coached the right way to do that. But it just goes back to what we were saying a little earlier on in the show as well, Des, where if you want to keep the guys that have experience of what this team's about, then bringing in, promoting from within a guy who's been involved 30 years, bringing back your 15-year leader, obviously to be president. The most successful we have been in a long stretch was 2016 under Shanahan. To bring all that together, not to mention the QB whisperer side of things, when you have not only a young QB, but also a hurt QB who's working his way back up, it's going to take time. And obviously, he's going to be working with the bridge in the meantime. So I feel like Ryan and Kubiak potentially is going to be an absolutely fantastic setup. You've got the mentorship, which would now be on an official level from Matt to Michael. Obviously, you've got Kubiak working with whoever the bridge guy is, getting Mike ready for his comeback for that competition as well. Simplifying the offense, not forcing him as he was this season. We know he's got the arm strength to do 40 and 45-yard bombs, but we don't want to force him into that position. And that's where we were kind of messing up. But there's
a different mindset, right? Zach Robinson was looking at this Atlanta team and thinking, you know what, everything goes through Bijan Robinson, right? Right. Which, again, that's nonsense, mate. We need to get that, literally throw that out in the garbage, right? An offense, everything in offense comes through the quarterback. If the quarterback feels comfortable, then the offense runs, and everybody else around that in that offense, if they know that the man in charge, the QB, is comfortable, then they feel comfortable, right? Now, how many times in the last 2 seasons did we see timeouts having to be took because the call wasn't getting down quick enough? Derek Carr, not just Derek Carr, I'm trying to remember who else it was that mentioned that. One of the other quarterbacks he worked with said that he doesn't say a lot when he's putting in the play call. If he has to say something, he'll say it quick, but he gets the play call in and he allows the quarterback to be the quarterback. Again, this is what we need. I honestly believe that Michael Penix is going to be our franchise quarterback. Arthur Blank came out and said that we need somebody to come in that's going to look at Michael Penix and go, I can see what you need, and I'm going to do it. Effectively, the way Jeff Ulbrich worked with the defense last year, we need Clint Kubiak to come in and work with Penix the way he works with all the other QBs. It's a West Coast style offense. It's effectively a Shanahan style offense. That's what we need. Effectively, the main thing, as you said, was we might need a bridge quarterback, which is effectively we need that to be plug and play. At that point, we then need to make sure that Penix is comfortable. And I'm
Yeah,
telling you
and I
now,
feel like a lot of people are also sleeping on us though, Des, because they say, "Oh, Bijan," and it's like, yeah, fair enough. Bijan's an absolute phenomenal talent, number 7 in rush yards all time in Falcons history in 3 years. Tells you all you need to know. But if they sleep on the fact that we've also got a top 8, top 10 wide receiver out there as well. I feel like a lot of people are still sleeping on just how good Drake London is because the QB play is inconsistent. And I feel like that's what drove Harbaugh away. That's what drove him to New York, is the fact he's like, I don't want to go to a team that's not got a QB ready. And I feel like that was maybe what played into it.
I don't know. I just think Harbaugh, Harbaugh, I think he wants the sexy appointment with the New York Giants. They're a big establishment. He wants to be the king of New York, mate. That's that. I mean, mate, I will say at no point did I ever want John Harbaugh. At no point did I ever want John Harbaugh. Bearing in mind that John Harbaugh's had Lamar Jackson for how long?
2011, 12.
Right.
It's been a minute.
No, I think it's a longer. I'd say, I think 2014, 15, something like
that. Something like that.
Aye.
It's been a long time.
VIP, so the MVP 2 seasons, you know what I mean, and effectively didn't win the big one. So the issue I've got with John Harbaugh is that John Harbaugh had the team, he just didn't have the results. You know what I mean? Again, you look at the Seattle Seahawks,
and on the year he got sacked, he had Derrick Henry in the backfield as well. So you want to talk about a running offense, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, and you still couldn't make the playoffs. I mean, I know Henry had a few little nagging injuries and things this year, but still, it's Derrick Henry. You really should be in a better position than that. I'm going to shout back out to the chat. Shout out Auntie Pam, happy Thursday. Good to see you in the chat as always, missus. And then we got a really good point here from Ricky. I'm good with Kubiak or Stefanski as long as Ulbrich stays. I don't know about Stefanski. I feel like this ain't Cleveland, and I know that sounds cheeky to say, but I worry that coming to a bigger organisation is going to be, as you would say, Desi's level of inadequacy. It's where he's going to fall flat. So out of the two guys, I'd still side with Kubiak. I mean, Stefanski is a good coach, and the Browns are a bad organisation. But how much of that is, you can kind of go, there's a little wiggle room, and that's what worries me. I want someone who's proven, and Stefanski's not really been proven to that high of a degree yet.
He's a coach of the year twice. Effectively, the reason I don't want Stefanski is the reason why I didn't want Jeff Ulbrich as defensive coordinator. Because because of the organization he came from, which is obviously Jeff Ulbrich came from New York Jets. He didn't sail away in victory at New York Jets when he came in as interim manager. And interim head coach, and Stefanski just reeks as I just think he needs to find his love for this game. Cleveland Browns going to do that to any head coach, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. It's almost like I feel like he should go and coach up a college team for a couple of years or something and reset himself away from the NFL or something like that. Like in a similar way to what you were saying about Tomlin, or go and do TV or something for a year or two, get your head out of that space, and then you can kind of move on.
I mean, as I say, if he comes in, I will back him to the hill. And to be honest, I don't watch. Let's be straight. I don't watch a lot of Cleveland Brown games. But again,
why would we endure that? It's bad enough.
There was so much toxicity coming out of the Cleveland Brown this year with the Shadur Saunders, and Shadur Saunders is number 4, and the owner fighting back. There was so much. You're at a point where you think, what has that done to that guy's drive?
Confidence.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. At the end of the day, the one that shocked me was Mike McDaniels. I would love Mike McDaniels as an OC, but I think if we bring in Clint Kubiak, he'll want to do it his way. So I think that's going to fall on the wayside.
Yeah.
But Mike McDaniel has effectively come out and said he would love another head coach job or an OC in a good destination. What I would say is that you speak to any of them, Matt LaFleur, Mike McDaniels, any of the ones that were here in 2016, they will still tell you that pains them. You know what I mean? If Mike McDaniels could effectively come in, work with Clint Kubiak, that offense is going to be quality.
Yeah.
You know what
That'd be real nice. If he's willing to take the step back and, as I say, be OC in a good destination, if we build it, they will come. I feel like, and it's almost a similar situation on the other side as well. I mean, I wouldn't mind Matt LaFleur back as an OC. He's done some good things, but it's how much are you willing to take OC under Kubiak, and it's who would be willing to take that. In which case, it would you'd probably be talking about McDaniel. But the guy's no slouch.
Well, I would say on Matt LaFleur, there's a tweet came out 2 hours ago from Joe Shad, and it was according to Adam Schefter. Packers and Matt LaFleur have had a disagreement about money and term, according to Adam Schefter, but they're still working on it. Now, effectively, somebody came out a few last week after the playoff loss and said that if you really want to lose Matt LaFleur, but lose him in a nice way, you undercut his price for the next contract. And then at that point, he walks away. What I would say is that, again, I just think Matt LaFleur is tainted with a lot of things, mate.
I see what you're saying.
I just want a clean start, mate. And Clint Kubiak now, out of them all, out of Stefanski, Matt LaFleur, Mike McDaniels, I think probably Clint Kubiak is the biggest chance that we're taking. But the upside is phenomenal, mate. He's an OC guru. I think Matt Ryan will watch this Seattle Seahawks and have flashbacks to the 2016 season, mate. And that's what we want. We want that back, and that's what Matt Ryan wants. Now, again, after blanks come out, and again, this is what we have to talk about with Zach Robinson. Zach Robinson is interviewed for two offensive coordinator jobs. So the Atlanta Falcons have told Zach Robinson they don't want him. The Dallas Cowboys come in and asked to interview Jeff Ulbrich, and they were told to do one. So effectively, after blanks came out and said that they would hope that Jeff Ulbrich would stay. I think Nate Ollie as well, the D-line coach, he needs to stay as well. I think DJ Williams is gone. He's away, the QB coach, so he's gone. So again, at that, there is a lot of changes, but for me, the main part is getting Clint Kubiak in. Now, what I would say is that I put out on X today that the one, so a lot of people are saying it's either between Stefanski and Clint Kubiak. Now, if it was Stefanski, we could hire him just now. We could have the press conference tomorrow. He's not tied to anything, right? So if it is Stefanski, why are we waiting? The reason we're waiting is the fact that it's Clint Kubiak and we're just watching for the Seattle Seahawks to either take it all the way to the Super Bowl or losing the playoffs, and we're then announcing him. That's my belief. That's what I want.
Yeah, I can completely see that happening. I think that's kind of what we're doing. Just to throw a spanner in the works again, though, here, Ricky's proposed a staff for us. Salah with McDaniel, Ulbrich, and a young up-and-comer, and Darren Bates as the special teams coordinator. I'm not mad at that. I think Jeff Salah brings a lot of good things. He's proven he's kind of recovered after his tenure with the Jets, but again, the Jets, similarly to the Browns, that's where talent goes to suffer and die. But in a lot of ways, but no, I think Robert Salah brings a lot of good things. If he ends up being the guy, I'm not going to say I'm against it. I think he, as I say, brings a lot of good skills to the table. And pairing him with a McDaniel and an Ulbrich, like you say, yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
Listen, if that was the end result, I would be happy with that, because effectively Salah and Ulbrich worked together in New York, and again, Mike McDaniels. I always said Mike McDaniels is what I couldn't believe is Mike McDaniels has got a winning record with the Miami Dolphins. You know what I mean? Effectively, we all know the issue in Miami, and that's a quarterback. What I would say is that Mike McDaniels needs to tone down that quirky, cuckoo, like surfer kind of dude. He needs to tie that down. He needs to. That Atlanta Disney. We don't want that in Atlanta, mate. We want professionalism. What I would say is Salah would kibosh that a wee bit, mate. So listen, I would go with that. That would be great. Dan Bates, I don't know much about Dan Bates.
That's one thing I hadn't even begun to think about yet, because of all the big decisions that have been made, big announcements, all the big stuff coming with coaches and OCs and all that good stuff. I've not even. I knew the special teams was going to be a consideration, but it's not one I'd made yet. But yeah, that's something that I'll need to think about before probably Saturday's show as well. So
he's currently assistant special team coordinator in Carolina Panthers. So I mean, that Southside, Ricky, that's a quality one, because again, all I'm really interested in is general manager and head coach at the moment. What I would say is that I think most people are now seeing that effectively the president of football interviews were really for general manager. I think it's an open secret who it's going to be. It's going to be Ian Cunningham, the Ryan Poles at Chicago Bears assistant. We all know that Matt Ryan and Poles go back a long time to Boston College, and from what I hear, I think he was offered a few jobs last year and he turned them all down because he wanted to stay with Chicago. So seemingly he's an up and comer, and again, I'm happy with Ian Cunningham as general manager. Again, I think the reason why they've not announced it is that Chicago's still in the playoffs, so as soon as they go out, I think that and the head coach will be announced. But what I would say is it's an exciting time. I mean,
I mean, per the Athletic as well, I'd say it wouldn't be set in stone, because they've said that both Mike Deisner, the Lions COO, and Josh Williams, who is I think he was last involved at Tampa Bay, I think. Those two guys both performed extremely well in their interviews, so it may well be one of these guys. But at the moment, Bookie's favourite is definitely Ian Cunningham. I'd probably go with Cunningham as well. Just given what he's done on a Bears team that's not. I mean, they've got a lot of weapons on Chicago, but I didn't feel like they'd have as much success this year as they've went on to have. I feel like Green Bay and Detroit were going to be more of a factor in the North, but like all credit to him. I mean, if he can do that job here, I'll be extremely happy.
I think the the biggest issue I had with Terry Fontenot is that he came from an organisation that effectively ripped the cap up and just right, we'll kick the can down the road. And to be fair, he was quite a frugal general manager, but I think there was times where he was scared to really go for it. There was times where you could see that this team just needed one or two in positions or one or two players, and we would be ready to go. And he never ever ticked the box right at the end, mate. And that's the biggest issue I've got with Terry Fontenot. I mean,
I can agree with that. I feel like for what you've said about Fontenot, I feel like he was coming from that scheme. He was in two minds whether to put his hand in his pocket a lot of the time, as you say. I appreciate the shout out there from Ricky. We'll check that podcast out just so we can get to know Darren Bates a little bit more. But as I say, there's that may be in the mix, and that's something that, as I say, we'll double down and get back to you with that on Saturday, because we're going top down, not bottom up. But yeah, one thing we did notice as well, that we'll be covering on Saturday, is the amount of players that are upcoming free agents. It's quite a list. Not too many that I would make a big song and dance about keeping. At this moment in time, I'm not even sure about Kyle Pitts. But
no. Listen, Kyle Pitts. I've said before, Kyle Pitts on a franchise tag is going to be $16 million.
On a tag, I would take it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I literally bring in the new coaching staff, bring Clint Kubiak in and sit him down and say, listen, Kyle, I'm going to make you, literally, you're going to be dreaming about my offense when you go to bed at night, right? And again, that's the benefit of having an offensive guru. You know what I mean? Effectively, you're bringing them in and you're going, right, okay. Effectively, Drake London goes down and Zach Robinson goes, oh, what are we going to do? Oh, right, we've got this big boy, Kyle Pitts. We've not really used him. His muscles are strong because he's not really done much. So let's start throwing the ball to him. And I mean, listen, he's number 2 tight end in the NFL this year, right? Effectively, in his first, is it 4 years or 5 years? He's had more catches in offense and yards than any other tight end in the history of Atlanta Falcons. So in that time, so what I would say is that forget 2 years ago, last year, see what we're getting now. That's the end product, right? We had dissed out with Caleb McGarry because Caleb McGarry had 3 bad years and then started turning it on in the 4th year. And we thought to ourselves, are we going to take up his 5th year option? We didn't. We ended up signing him to a good contract at the end of that. But effectively, Caleb McGarry's done well. He's been injured this year, but he's done well. All you need to do is, the one thing is, you're only as good as your last game. And his last game was phenomenal. You know what I mean? His last game was phenomenal. That's what you go by. Don't go by week 14 game last season or week 13 game week 13 game the season before. Go with what you've seen in the last game, and then you bring in a Clint Kubiak that's going to use your weapons and be in a position where you think to yourself, be in the position the way Kyle Shanahan ran with Julio Jones. Everybody knew Julio Jones was getting the ball. They just couldn't stop it.
Yeah, that was it.
That's the way you play an offense. The wingspan of Kyle Pitts is enormous. And Michael Penix was starting to work out how he had to throw the ball to him. Started to work it out. And that's what we need to do. Let our players play. Drake London, when he came out of college, it was the number 1 in contested catches. He's brought that to the NFL, right? if there's somebody on him, show it to him. He's going to get it. The same needs to be said with Kyle Pitts. Just let the man cook.
And that's what we were saying and all. I mean, I'm fond of urinating into the wind until things start to solidify a bit more, but Kubiak could be the guy that unlocks this wide receiver Kyle Pitts that we've been talking about, where he's more of a mold of like as you say, a Julio Jones or a Calvin Johnson, or DK Metcalf. His first couple of years in the league, you remember how much a terror he was. But John's just announced as well. I'd be keen to see the source, but he's saying that the Falcons have hired Kubiak, but we can't make the announcement until the Seahawks are done.
Yeah, that would be again.
That would be fantastic. The Right Way Sports, I've said it apparently. That would be fantastic news. And
listen, mate, if that is true, I am overjoyed, mate, because again, I keep on talking about the West Coast offense. You look at the main man with the West Coast offense is Shanahan, right? What tight end does he use? What tight end does he got? George Kittle. And it's a Hall of Famer. They know how to use tight ends, mate.
Yeah.
Now, the other big thing that we need to talk about as well, and again, fair play to Terry Fontenot, this draft class is looking horrendous. They're actually saying that effectively, I've seen a tweet today saying that in the draft class that the Cleveland Browns have got 2 first round picks. The draft class is garbage. You know what I mean? So effectively, there's not a lot of depth there. And we don't have a first round pick, so we don't need to worry about that. Our first round pick is sitting in Atlanta. James Pierce Jr., 10.5 sacks, and he's not even been put up for Rookie of the Year. Disgraceful.
No, I'll never understand how. I feel like it's the DPO wise and the DRO wise and all that sort of conversation. I feel like that's almost going the way of the Pro Bowl games. I feel like it's a popularity contest at this point.
Absolutely. It's all about it's effectively like glory hunters. Who's doing well and who's got good players, right? Okay, I'll pick him. You know what I mean? What I would say is if Falcons were in the playoffs and they had a winning season, he's the number 1 defensive rookie of the year. If he doesn't win defensive rookie of the year, I'm what I would say is that it benefits us, because if I'm Clint Kubiak and I'm coming into that changing room, I'm going to James Pierce Jr. and I'm going, where's your name? How disrespectful is that, James? You know what I mean? They 10.5 sacks last year in your rookie season, and they couldn't even put you up for defensive rookie of the year. Let's sort that out. Why don't we? You know what I mean? And then just effectively
come out and play angry. Yeah, like if he's not been playing angry so far, that's all like a fire under him.
We've created a monster now. Let him be a monster. That's what I'm saying. Let the man be a monster. Let Xavier Watts destroy everything that comes to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was looking at that post of yours today again about the draft pick from last year and how we don't need a first round pick because we've got it. And I was thinking a lot about it, and I was looking over the class again and see outside a wide receiver and IDL, none of the positions look good or particularly deep.
Yeah,
so there's like maybe 5 nice tackles and a few nice receivers, but it's not a great class.
Yeah, my tweet was a sarcastic tweet, and I put out, can't wait for this year's NFL draft where Atlanta Falcons have got the 13th overall pick. Really, really, really big on this this guy from Tennessee, James Pierce Jr. If he could come in his rookie year and get 10 plus sacks, that would be amazing. And that was me being sarcastic, because effectively, if we were sitting with the 13th overall pick, it's a very mediocre draft class. So again, Terry Fontenot left a really good present, sorted out this pass rush, and to be honest, I have no interest in the draft. I think we've got some phenomenal young players there. We've still got Kobe Bryant. We've got Nick Nash, if he's still there, the wide receiver. And again, we just need an offense scheme that's going to bring the best out in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What I would say is if we have got Clint Kubiak, I am going to be overjoyed, because we'll do the same for the Aints as we done with Caden Ellis. We'll show them what they done wrong. You know what I mean? They should never have. I mean, what I would say is, I looked back on Twitter today, there was a lot of Aints fans that were screaming for when they sacked their head coach, for him to come in as interim head coach because of the way the offense was. You know what I mean? So effectively, that shows you what kind of guy he is. And I would say if we've got him, I'm going to be stoked. We get Clint Kubiak in. We've got a West Coast offense, and we bring in effectively. We try and keep Jeff Ulbrich, and then we bring in effectively a good OC, probably. And again, this is where I'm going to change from what I believed when we signed Raheem Morris. I said that I wanted my head coach to not be a play caller, because he could then effectively overlook everything. The problem we had with Raheem Morris is that he was just looking at the TV screens and missed everything else. And effectively, his time management was bad. Everything about his coaching was bad. So effectively, I looked at that and thought, well, if he's not doing play calling, he's going to have an option where he can do more and watch the field and watch the game better. It didn't work that way. So effectively, if Clint Kubiak comes in, we bring him in, let him do his play calling, and then we bring in an OC, an up-and-coming OC, and then let him effectively learn. And hopefully we can then start a Clint Kubiak coaching tree. Issue I've got with Mike Tomlin is Mike Tomlin doesn't have a coaching tree. Very little's come out from that. You look at how the time that Sean McVay has actually been coaching, and you look at the coaching tree that he's got. John Harbaugh doesn't have a coaching tree. When you actually look at it, John Harbaugh was a special teams coordinator before he got the head coach job. So when you look at all that, and you look at what we need at the Atlanta Falcons, what we need at Atlanta Falcons is we need somebody that can come in, look at these monsters that we've got in offense, and effectively create the offense that we want, and create what we're all screaming for. If you're a new Atlanta Falcons fan, brilliant, welcome. We love you like a brother. You're part of the team. But the one thing that every Atlanta Falcons fan will tell you is that the one thing that was phenomenal about 2016 is that we were completely spoiled. We came into that season and we weren't expecting much, and we watched an offense run over people, literally dominate people. And I honestly believe when you look at what he done with the Aints last year, 47, literally over 90 points in the first two games. And then Derek Carr got injured. Now you imagine we bring him in, we sort out the QB, we've got far better options on offense than the Aints had last year. We don't need to do Tannehill in Wildcat formation because they don't have any players to work with. We've got Drake London. We've got Bijan Robinson. Now, I was looking as well, Tyler Algier. Seemingly to get Tyler Algier, it's only going to be about $4 or $5 million a year. We get Tyler Algier back. You know what I mean? That's chump change. I'm paying that all day, every day, and twice on a Sunday. Absolutely. We've been telling anybody that will listen, like the 1-2 punch needs to stay a 1-2 punch. I really like that idea from Jerome. He's just heard that Kubiak has the job. If he's bringing in a receiver like Rashid Shaheed to be a deep threat and return man, that would be nice. I like Rashid Shaheed. He showed in KC. He's got some skills.
So I would not be mad about that at all. And then I wanted to also single out here that Nash has been signed by Washington, apparently. So
Right.
apparently, if they can't crack this wide receiver room, I think that's more the fault of the coaches, though, because look at the state of the wide receivers, and you didn't call him up a Triple Crown winner. He should have had his chance, because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but we both seen him make some plays in pre-season. He was looking good.
But we had this conversation on one of our shows last year, mate. At what point does it fall on the fact that Terry Fontenot is drafting the wrong players, or the fact that it's the coaching and the coaching's just not right? You can't tell me that any player that comes in from the college game is effectively ready for the NFL. None of them are ready for the NFL. They need coaching. They need to learn everything. And to be honest, I would say the same with Arthur Smith, and I'll say the same with Raheem Morris. At no point did I would say maybe Arthur Smith in the first year, when he had literally, it was a 2 windmills in a balloon. It was all 1 year contracts. It was guys that had effectively came from literally guys nobody else wanted. We brought in, and he done well. 7-10 with that team was all right. So. But apart from that year, at no point did I see any of our head coaches make a good team a great team. And effectively, I look at what the Clint Kubiak done last year with the Aints for the first couple of games, when it all then went Pete Tong, when Derek Carr got injured. And I'm sorry, but you cannot put a West Coast offense on Rattler or Rattled.
I wouldn't put an NFL offense on his back at all. I feel like he's I would say he's a good college QB. He was an average college QB for my money. Can you tell I'm a fan?
When you come to the NFL, and the one thing that you're mostly known for is a documentary when you were at high school, that tells you. You know what I mean? But as I say, if we've got Clint Kubiak, I am stoked. I am absolutely stoked. He's a QB whisperer. He simplified, as Derek Carr said, and I don't like the man, but because he was an ain't. Derek Carr, he simplifies the offense. He makes the offense simple, and that's how that. That's how I said about when we played the 49ers this year. It was effectively, it was simple. It was dink, dunk. He looks at the players he's got, and you look at him. Look at Shanahan at the weekend. He played a play. He done a play call that was called 5 years ago. The last time it was called. That's the kind of head coach you want. A head coach that's got a play calling so deep that effectively he can bring in a play call that he didn't do. And last time he done it was 5 years ago.
We were hoping for a plan B last season, and we might be having options of coaches coming in here who have C, D, E, F, and on. So finally, we might be in a position where we can be that versatile style of offense that we want to be, playing more into a West Coast sort of frame. And as Christy says, it's an even happier Thursday if that news proves true. We are getting Clint Kubiak, and Maggie's jumped in the building as well. But we would say, Maggie, that we're changing Rise Up. It's now just going to be Get Set. That's it. We're done rising up. We should be there by now.
Yeah, Get Set. That's it. Get Set. The president has spoken. You know what I mean?
Yep,
so
can't wait till his next birthday, because it might be the only time you'll ever get to hear me go, "Happy birthday, Mr. President."
Listen, I'm staying away from the bikinis, that's for sure. I'm certainly not wearing the bikinis.
Oh, no, it's not so much the bikini that would put me off, it'd be the leg wax beforehand. No, thank you.
Listen, us Scots are hairy. That's the one thing, you know what I mean? It's cold here. We need to have some protection. So yeah, that's it. So
that's that.
Three layers. Get set. That's it. Get set. And to be honest, if we get Clint Kubiak, get set to watch a phenomenal offense because
I can't wait, man.
It just makes watching the Seattle Seahawks game at the weekend all the more sweet because effectively we're watching what our offense is going to be next year, and that's exciting. You know what I mean? None of this Arthur Smith bringing him in because he had Derrick Henry to effectively fall on. You know what I mean? Clint Kubiak. The big red flag for me with Clint Kubiak is that he jumped between teams so quickly. You know what I mean? But again, you look at Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan was only here for 2 years. Kyle Shanahan officially was only a play caller for 2 years at Atlanta Falcons. The first year was horrendous. It was all over the place. So we need to understand that. But as I said before, in business, you always try and make mistakes on other people's money. I mean, and effectively, Clint Kubiak's done that. He's made mistakes on the Aints money, and effectively he's thriving. This is effectively second year, and you're seeing what he's doing at Seattle Seahawks. So he's going to come in here as the finish article. It's another Shanahan. That's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting effectively we have signed Clint Kubiak Shanahan, and if we have, I am ecstatic. Well,
that and the fact that he's got himself a few extra brownie points coming in the door, because if you want to make New Orleans waste their money, you'll get no contestation here.
Absolutely.
So I feel like even if he was a slightly worse coach, that would maybe take him over the edge. But obviously the coaching pedigree speaks for itself. So like it's going to be you might need to adjust your volume or keep an eye on your volume at the start of the show on Saturday, because if we confirm this tonight or tomorrow, we're going to come on screaming just a bit, because we are going to be thrilled, because I'm going to say it's best case scenario getting Kubiak. Yes, it's the biggest risk, but as you say, the rewards that come with that would be off the chart. So I'm happy with that.
We just need to get, if we can get a good OC. As I said, I think he's kicked off again. Are you there, Will? No, he's kicked off. So as I said, when Will kicked off, effectively, if Clint Kubiak can come in and do the play calling, effectively everything that happened in 2016 is gone, because we had a lot of Atlanta Falcons fans at that point when we seen how successful Kyle Shanahan was when he went to San Francisco. A lot of people were saying, why didn't we just fire Dan Quinn at the end of the Super Bowl and bring in Kyle Shanahan? And you're like, well, don't be daft. I mean, literally the head coach that took us to a Super Bowl, and we're going to fire him. No, we're not going to fire him. But this is effectively best case scenario, as you say. This is we bring Clint Kubiak in. He does the play calling, and we then bring in an OC who can effectively learn from that. We keep Jeff Ulbrich, and hopefully we do keep Jeff Ulbrich. And by God, this all I'm saying is if this defense will be able to hold teams to less than 20 points, Clint Kubiak is definitely going to be scoring. A Clint Kubiak offense is definitely going to be scoring more than 20 points. And I'm jacked. I'm absolutely jacked. Well, I got to say, I'm excited. I can't wait. Oh, he's away again. And again, this effectively, when you look back at what happened in the last 4 games, the thing that worried me, Boss is in. How you doing, Maggie?
Hi. I figured he was having some issues, so let me jump on before it jumps off. So, because I like the conversation he was just basically having about being excited, and I'm excited too. With everything, I think people are out there panicking though. Someone's basically calling Matt Ryan the poster, the mascot. He has no significant role and things. That's a great smile by him. He's so happy. He looks happy. But my thing is, it's only been less than a week at that. in his new role. And based on the contract of Harborough, we weren't about to pay that.
100 million over 5 years. $100 million over 5 years.
So you're telling me that's Matt Ryan feeling that we are already in a situation where he restructured his contract, but no, no, thank you.
and if you look, Maggie, how desperate New York Giants have been, it probably comes to a point that most of that will be guaranteed. That'll be a guaranteed contract. You know what I mean? Because New York Giants were so desperate to get him and keep him in the building. So there comes a point where you think, how much of that 5 years is guaranteed? So there's probably 70 or 80 million that's going to be guaranteed, because if you're John Harbaugh and you're going to go and you're going to have to try and bring this, as they call, sleeping giant back to where it should be, then you're wanting the big bucks. But effectively, they said, the Maras just said that whatever he needs, seemingly he's bringing his OC with him as well, and Todd Monken. So again, it's, from my point of view, I don't want to be in a position, Maggie, where we're so desperate to get somebody that we're effectively just laying down and saying, whatever you want, you take it. You know what I mean? We seen what happened with Deshaun Watson when we were effectively throwing money at Deshaun Watson. You know what I mean? And then you've seen how desperate the Cleveland Brown got with that contract and gave him $253 million guaranteed contract. Pure desperation. I will always say, in business, when you do or you get desperate and you make decisions on desperation,
you make desperate decisions that makes no sense. Hence, Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, exactly. But what I would say is you have to kind of give the watch to Kirk Cousins. He sorted out his contract, which means that we can walk away. I think on the 11th or the 12th of March, he'll be out the contract. So effectively, that gives us 30 million extra cap space. So thanks very much, Kirk Cousins. So effectively, the team-friendly contract that I had been screaming that I wanted Kirk Cousins to take, he's took. The only difference is he's not going to be here.
Right.
So right. But as I said, I had a bit of time today, and I looked back, and I actually put in Clint Kubiak's name, and I looked back on the historic tweets. And all the Aints fans last year were praising them to the hilt. There was some of the, after the first two games, some of the NFL media shows were talking about how he's literally revitalized this offense and how bad it was. And I mean, the guy is an offensive guru. You then see, as I said earlier on, Maggie, when you're talking about Kyle Pitts, you talk about what you've seen in the last game, and he was flying. That's where you make your decisions, not on week 14 last year or week 12 the year before, what he done in the last couple of games, and he was flying. And it's the same with Clint Kubiak. This season, that Seattle Seahawks offense is dominating. Mm-hmm. And that's effectively we want to see. We want to see this offense that we know is one of the best offenses for weapons in the NFL. We want to see it dominating. But as I said earlier, it's not true, just Bijan Robinson.
Right.
And we're not going to have a head coach and comes out and says, oh, by the way, defensive coordinators, are you all listening? All our game goes through Bijan Robinson. So when you're working, when we're coming up to your stadium on Sunday and we're about to play you, just make sure you stop Bijan Robinson, our offense hits the floor. That we've then went from that to Clint Kubiak, who is effectively a QB whisperer. I watched a video today, Maggie, and it was Derek Carr talking about how Clint Kubiak simplifies the offense. He makes it easy. Now we know Derek Carr wasn't the best QB in the world.
No.
But as I said, Panthers' first game last season, the first game of Clint Kubiak as offensive coordinator with Aints, 47-10 against the Panthers. He then goes and plays the Dallas Cowboys, 44-19. Bearing in mind, this is only the first and the second games that he's played with. He's called as offensive coordinator with the Aints, and they put up over 90 points, nearly 100 points they put up. You know what I mean? Then Derek Carr has the injury, and it all goes to pot.
Right. So,
then,
me personally, I feel they already had their guy. I really feel they have their guy already. It's just they can't make the announcement. And there was rumors that he was going to talk to the Falcons a second time with Harbaugh, but it's like, of course, like you said, they got desperate. It was like, oh, we're not letting you out. We're not letting you out. You know, we want you. We're desperate to keep you. So if you want all this money, you got it. My thing is, people, we want us an offensive-minded defense is fine. Defense can be fine too. Now, that's if their head coach comes in and say, hey, I want to keep him. But I would think it would make sense to keep him, Brick, and just develop what's going on, because we haven't had a defense ranking like they have in the past couple of years. It's only can get better. So me personally, I would rather have an offensive quarterback whisperer, because like you said, I think it's June something where we make the decision on Kirk. Is it June? It's
March. March. So effectively March the 11th or the 12th, we'll announce that he's been cut. So effectively we're I think it's 35 million dead cap on the contract, but that releases 30 million on the contract. I think if we look at it, I think with this new general manager come out, and I've said that I think it's going to be Ian Cunningham that's going to be the general manager. I think the president of football interviews were just all interviews for the general manager, because effectively since Matt Ryan came in, there's been no announcement of interviews for general manager. So they know who they've got. It's Ian Cunningham, and again, if I'm proved wrong, so be it. And I put out and I tweeted today, a lot of people were saying it's between Stefanski and Clint Kubiak, and I put out if it's Stefanski, we would have announced it already.
Right.
There's nothing stopping Stefanski getting announced. He's been sacked by the Cleveland Browns. There's nothing stopping that. The reason why we haven't heard anything is it's not Stefanski, it's Clint Kubiak. Now, what I would say is that if we look back in history, the last coordinator that we signed from the Seattle Seahawks took us to the Super Bowl. We didn't win it, but he took us to the Super Bowl with Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn was the DC, was the defensive coordinator in 2013, 2014 with the Seattle Seahawks, and we brought him in 2015. So if history is looking good, then for me, all I want to do is, so Twin Sports says that, so that effectively, there's people out there now on Twitter that's announcing that we've hired Clint Kubiak. So
there's some rumors going around that he's already hired. They just can't say anything, but it's all speculation. I haven't seen a credible. Well, somebody would have. You got to question sometime when they have, because I have a check mark on Twitter. I can say anything, if I really wanted to.
Yeah.
That verification process is just payment. It's not like it used to be. So it's like, let me find a credible source to say that. Now, I haven't done my research since I got on this show, because something might have changed. I don't know. But from before I got on here, I saw the one that people keep sharing, but I need to look into who that person is, if that's a legitimate person, because I wouldn't go by somebody that just looks like they're verified and take their word, because we had a content creator that was spilling false narratives with one of those verification seals, and because he had one, he must know what he's talking about. And there was I mentioned on my show before, Matt Ryan's wife, Miss Sarah, she debunked it. It was around the time that Matt Ryan was announcing that he was leaving before we knew he was deciding to leave the team to go to the Colts. It was rumors that it was a whole bunch of stuff that he was going to go to certain teams, what have you. And she said, you check the source, so I encourage everybody, check the sources of what you're finding. Now, if it's a legitimate person, then cool. Put it in the chat. Let us know what's going on. And as far as what I think, Strapped, Clint, that's just the bottom line. I don't want anybody else at this point. Any other candidates? Mike Tomlin, he's taking a break. Everybody keep saying Mike Tomlin's going to notice he hasn't gotten interviewed. And then if we do interview this guy, he's still signed on for 2 years. So there's going to be some draft capital that we're going to have to give up for him. So I really want everybody to kind of put that to bed as well, as far as Mike Tomlin. But there are some other candidates out there, but I'm really eyeing Clint, so that's who I would go with that one. It said, Maggie, don't sleep on Jesse Minter. He was the coach of the Michigan Wolverines when they went 15-0, and he also helped the Ravens from 2017 to 2020, where their defense allowed the fewest points. Okay.
But again, the issue I've got is Mr. Blank getting a wee bit older was quite open at the press conference. And it was asked as well, but the previous press conference about Jeff Ulbrich, because obviously Dallas Cowboys come in and they wanted to interview them for the DC job and for the Cowboys, and it was knocked back. So effectively, whatever's been going on in the background, I'm hoping that something's leaked out, that effectively somebody from either Seattle Seahawks, his agent, or somebody that's friends with him that knows what's happening. Maybe one of the you just don't know, but I'm hoping. Listen, if it is, I honestly think this is putting the 2016 season behind us, because we literally watched Kyle Shanahan walk out the building with a lot of the offensive coordinators. You know what I mean? So effectively, this brings in an offensive coordinator. If you look at the defense, Jeff Ulbricht's got the defense singing. You know what I mean? We just need somebody to come in and just make this offense that we believe it can be, Maggie.
Right.
And I'm hoping that that's Clint Kubiak. I mean, you're effectively going from Tannehill, moron, last year, to Bijan Robinson. I mean, what more do you want? You know what I mean? It's the weapons are all there. You franchise tag Kyle Pitts for $16 million. Tick. You know what I mean? You start using your weapons, your tight ends, and I said earlier in the show, if you look at the West Coast offense scheme, who have you got in San Francisco that effectively is the tight end? You know what I mean? That's effectively, what do you call him? I always forget his name. George Kittle. You know what I mean? You look how much the 49ers use George Kittle. You know what I mean? So from my point of view, I'm Clint Kubiak. I'm sitting Kyle Pitts down and saying, listen, I'm going to give you an offense you're going to be dreaming at night. You know what I mean? Dreaming about at night. This is offense that's going to make you the Hall of Famer. This is the offense that's going to make you the person we believe that you've been for the last 5 years. The only problem is you've had bad quarterbacks and you've had bad OCs. You know what I mean? Now we've sorted that out. I think we'll be surprised. I think Michael Penix Jr. will be back for the start of the season. Effectively, you look at some of these Achilles injuries, and some of these players are back in 9 months. You know what I mean? I know, obviously, Kirk Cousins took a wee bit longer, but he was older. You know what I mean? Michael Penix is still a young man. He's only about 24, 25. You know what I mean? We all know when you're younger, you literally bounce off the ground and you jump up. As you get older, you hit the floor and you're there for 20 minutes. You know what I mean? So I'm just hoping that he's back and he's ready to go, because I'm excited, Maggie. As I say, Clint Kubiak. I spoke about Clint Kubiak about a month ago. How I thought he was the one for us. And I said that I think Matt Ryan would look at that Seattle Seahawks offense and have flashbacks to 2016. And that excites me, because if anybody was a fan in 2016, they just teased you so much. It was wonderful.
Right.
It was like, this is what we can show. This is what we could give you. We didn't win that, but this is what it could be. 2017 was similar, and then it just disappeared.
So, and I wanted to get to this comment, but I was looking up, just because I just wanted to see it, because I think I would have gotten a ton of messages about it. Just like the Matt Ryan announcement, I got so many phone calls. I found that article that you were looking into, but I don't think it's a legitimate website. It just, Atlanta Falcons hire Clint as their next head coach. The end of the season shows some promise. Yeah. So it's like I don't think this is a credible source. It doesn't even have by Dylan. I don't know who this Dylan guy is. It just says that it doesn't give any more information on it, just who's the source, where it came from. It also says predictions. So, prediction. Atlanta Falcons fired, prediction, end of the season. Oh, yeah. So his headline is definitely. But as far as Stefanski, like you said, if we really wanted him, I think he would have already been in the door.
Yeah, absolutely, because there's nothing stopping him taking the job.
Right.
So, and to be honest, if you look at a lot of the head coach the head coach interview announcements, I just seem to like the what do you call him, the Pierce, the Raiders head coach. I just see a lot of that as being backups in case Jeff Ulbrich decides he doesn't want to stay when the coach comes in. You see a lot of defensive coordinator interviews. Now they're interviewing them for the head coach, but effectively, I think there's probably a lot of there's a lot of stuff put in place if Jeff Ulbrich decides he doesn't want to be there. That we've got a defensive coordinator that we can step in. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
I think Clint's our guy. I think Ian Cunningham's our guy. And effectively, all we really need to tie up is who's the OC, who the OC is going to be, Maggie.
Right. And like you said earlier, if anybody watched the press conference, like Ian and all those people that they already brought in the door for the president role, they already said they will be looking at them again for the GM. They haven't started their interviews for that yet, according to them, but they are in the head coaching search here because, it's a lot of head coaches that are dropping that are candidates. But like I said, I think they already have a plan. The reason why they brought Matt Ryan in, and it's like, this is kind of where I want to go with it. This is who I expect to be available. They've been at it since he started. He said he had his interview for 2 hours and he was right in the thick of it. So I think we're going to get an announcement, but we might not get that announcement because if QB is still, in the thing, we can't make an announcement until after the fact anyway. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right.
And again, another thing as well, Ian Cunningham as well, he's Chicago. So again, we can't make that announcement either because they're still in the playoffs as well. So
right. They can't announcement. Yeah, they can't. They can't make an announcement until at least for the GM, there's rules to it. So from what some people were explaining to me, but I got to look more in research. But from what I understand, yeah, we can't make that announcement until. So we'll see.
I done a tweet and it effectively goes back historically on the announcement times for the last 4 head coaches. Now, Raheem Morris was January the 25th, 2024.
Okay.
Arthur Smith was January the 15th. Now, that Tennessee Titans didn't make the playoffs, I don't think, or that year. Dan Quinn, who obviously went to, I think he won the Super Bowl with Seattle the year before, that year. So his announcement was February the 2nd because they effectively went to the Super Bowl. Before that, Mike Smith was January the 28th, 2008. So effectively, the ones So you can be into February before you announce a head coach. You know what I mean? But I honestly believe there's too much. I don't think there's much pushing on the interviews. The GM, there's no GM interviews, so why they not? I mean, literally, they had more GM they had the president of football interviews before Matt Ryan got the job.
Right.
Now, as soon as Matt Ryan gets a job, you would think then the general manager announcements for the interviews would happen. Nothing's happened.
Right.
So it's because they already know who it's going to be. It's going to be.
They already know. I'm pretty sure they got somebody with and then of course they're still conducting other interviews as well. And folks are like panicking. Oh my God, I hope they don't do it. They still got to interview these people. So there's going to be some unattractive candidates that come up in this door, but they're still got to honor the interview. I think somebody sent a whole little thing. It was I don't know what chat that was, but it had a whole little roster of how they're doing their interviews. I got to find that. It was a screenshot of who's on that list. And I guess they're going to go through that whole entire thing. So does it mean because they're interviewing these guys that they're considering them? It's like, let me hear what they got to say, or we have to interview them. But I feel like they already got their guy.
Again, what I learned as well is that effectively you can, if you interview two minority candidates, actually, that doesn't sort the Rooney Rule. You have to actually do in-person interviews. So as far as I know, they've only done one minority candidate interview in person. So obviously they need to they can't hire anybody until they've done two minority candidate interviews in person. That's what I found out today in Twitter. So effectively they need to overcome that first. But I think they know who the guy is. I mean, I was romantic, Maggie, and I thought Terry Fontenot, black man, Raheem Morris, black man, Atlanta, a more effectively the black. I mean, you would call it the capital, the black.
Yeah, black capital. Of the South, definitely.
So and I was romantic, thinking this is going to be great. This is
right.
Martin Luther King and
right.
You know, at this point, I don't. I mean, you can be green with pink polka dots. I really don't care.
I just want to. I'm with you. I just want you to be qualified to do the job and do it right.
I just want a championship. That's all I want. You know what I mean? So, the city. I mean, and again, the other thing as well is I think it was then the start of this season or the start of last season. You see the Matt Ryan clip where he's talking to the team, and he talks about how if you start winning, this city comes alive.
Right.
You know what I mean? And effectively, he's now in the building. He's telling people this. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's Mr. Atlanta. So I mean, as I say, I like Stefanski, but I just think he comes with too much baggage. And as I said earlier, I want our head coach to make all his history with us. Like Kyle Shanahan isn't known for being OC at Atlanta. He's known for the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. You know what I mean? And I want to start that. I don't want John Harbaugh, because John Harbaugh will always be attached to the Ravens. I don't want Mike Tomlin, because Mike Tomlin will all be associated with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I want our guy to be our guy, kind of thing. And again, it's a big risk, because it's going to be a first time head coach. But I've seen enough that I think this man can do it if we sign him.
I mean, something I can say about that. If you're going to do a first time head coach, then an offensive coordinator has to be on point.
Absolutely.
You know, somebody that is proven. Like if you're going to gamble again with the first time, you definitely got to have that OC, you know, and a clear winner is, you know, in this, because we can't go backwards. we can't, and we need somebody that's not predictable as well. And of course is willing to spread the ball a little bit more. and run the damn ball. You know, and I don't feel like Kirk Cousins is going to be here with us after March. I really don't. I think he knows it, and we know is it. And he was just like, he's willing to like, okay, let me make it a little bit more attractive for. But then who wants that at the end, though? Who wants that?
But the benefit for Kirk Cousins is, as of the on the 13th of March, he's a free agent, so he can go anywhere. Listen, Kirk Cousins was a surprise to me. He done better than I thought he was going to do when he came in. Probably the first game he was a bit rusty, but every other game he played really well. So, but I still don't see that there's a team out there that's going to pay him 45 million a year.
That's what I mean.
I just don't see it. So, but again, it's a case of if you're Kirk Cousins and you're looking at Michael Penix Jr., he's got injury issues, he's got history of injuries. If you're going to pick a team to where to go, you would go, well, there's maybe a good chance that you're going to get a few games in Atlanta. You know what I mean? You don't know. Clint Kubiak was the OC at the Vikings when Kirk Cousins was there. So Clint Kubiak has got history with Kirk Cousins. So we might sign Kirk Cousins. I might sign Clint Kubiak, and Kirk Cousins might say, well, do you know what? I might just stay here. You know what I mean? Clint Kubiak might walk in and say, I don't want Michael Penix to be my main QB at the moment. I want to go with Kirk Cousins. So, again, it's all up in the air, Maggie.
Well, my thing is, if they're going to be smart with it, because the Falcons did this last season, they rushed these players in who they felt was better, as far as the injury-prone ones. Even if Penix is available by training camp, I really do hope they're not going to just like, okay, we got to force him up in here. I need to see a more healed, confident Michael Penix before he's on the field. Yeah. Because he was playing like he was afraid, in my opinion. So, worst case scenario, if we decide to, Kirk Cousins is saying, I'm going to be here up until whatever happens with Penix or whatever, because they're still saying that he's the franchise guy. So, Kirk clearly knows that he's not the guy. He's the guy for now. Yeah. With that being said, but it could be a situation, well, like you said, they have some history that is like, well, I've seen some signs from Kirk. Let's see what happens here. Now, Strapped Up said, do you think Kubiak will call his own plays or will hire an OC and he will call the plays? I kind of don't want an Arthur Smith situation.
Well, so I spoke about this earlier in the show, and what I'd say is that when Raheem Morris was brought on, I wanted, because Arthur Smith obviously done his own play calling, and I just felt that there was times in the game where he was distracted with that.
Right.
Now I then said I prefer they call it a CEO head coach, and I thought that would be better. But there was, Raheem Morris's time management.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Field awareness was horrendous, so that didn't help. That the fact that he wasn't doing play calls didn't stop all that. You know what I mean? You then look at Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan does always play calling, and he's on top of most of that. Effectively, what you would need to do is you would need to have an OC, bring in a really, really good OC that understands your scheme,
right,
and effectively work with that guy and say, listen, I'll do the play calls, but I need you to help me with this side of it. I need you to watch the time management, help me with this, and effectively go from there. But I want to be in a position where what I would say is Arthur Smith's offense is nothing on Clint Kubiak's. And I don't want a dilution of that. I don't want to be in a position where we're in the same situation with Zach Robinson when it's convoluted, it's like it's a mess.
Right.
Clint Kubiak knows what he wants. I think he should be doing the play calling, and then have an OC that effectively works with all the other things that a head coach would do.
I still think an OC it needs to be hired. It's just that's just me. I think he will. hopefully he will hire an OC to kind of take the load off of what all he has to do as well. So it can kind of be a balance, like you said, take care of some other needs and things like that of the offense versus one person calling all the plays and etc. So you said, yeah, right. Time management was crazy this weekend. It's going to be some great games. Absolutely. I'm excited about the weekend. See what happens.
It'll be good to watch the Seattle Seahawks with the knowledge that there's a potential that's going to be
that's going to be right. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah,
definitely
absolutely. Is. Absolutely. Ready to wrap this up then, Maggie?
Yeah, actually, because I do have my daughter has an evaluation in the next 15 minutes, so we can go ahead and wrap this up.
Absolutely. Yeah. So obviously, me and Will with better Wi-Fi connection will be back on Saturday.
Okay.
8, I think 8:30, 8:35. I think we're probably going to look at some of the free agents from the Atlanta Falcons and go over that as well.
Okay.
And speak about that. There's quite a few names there, and discuss what we think should happen with that. So, but yeah, great show again. Thanks for jumping in, Maggie.
No problem.
So, you want to end it all? You're the expert on all this.
Okay. Well, I just want to give a shout out to everybody that's tuned in to us. We had about 70 folks in the chat from X as well as YouTube. If you are on X, share this out, like it, and then also come on over to YouTube to both channels, our international Atlanta Falcons Nation International, as well as Atlanta Falcons Nation LLC. Hit that subscribe button, get that channel to grow, because eventually we are trying to expand to other international markets. It's just, I haven't recruited in a minute, because it's just like, it's the end of the season. I have time to kind of reach out to people when they're kind of taking a break, because, everybody's been busy. So we really would like to expand, but show your guys some love. They'll be back on Saturday as well. And as well as just, any updates, I will be doing some impromptu shows. If not, I'll be back for my Tuesday night show with the Lady Birds. And of course, you got the regulators on Sunday. So other than that, you can find me at social media, Maggie T Productions, on anywhere, X, Instagram, Facebook. I'm on YouTube. That's it. That's all I got. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Please throw some feedback on this show. I would love to see, your thoughts about what we talked about today. And if there's anything that you want the Scottish guys to talk about, our Falcons, let us give them a question, because they're going to do some free agency look at, and pose some questions for them to have for the next show. If you guys want to hear, or any one of us, if you want to hear from us and our thoughts, we'll take those feedbacks and questions. But that's all I got for you. And, go ahead and close it out. Des, where can they find you and your last thoughts?
So I'm mainly on X. So just search Scottish Falcons. So I'll be there. Effectively, we have all the exciting news that hopefully is going to be coming in the next few weeks.
Right.
You can see my thoughts. Jump on there, follow me. I'm quite close to 1,000 followers, so that would be great if we could get there before start the next season. So that's where you find me.
Okay, well there you go, the Scottish Falcon. So look for him. Please get him. What you said, almost to 1,000.
Yeah, that would be great.
So everybody, I think last time I looked, it was like 40 people watching on there. So if you guys haven't hit that like button and followed him on X, please do so. Let's get him to 1,000, okay? Absolutely. On that note, that's all we got for you guys this evening. Y'all go ahead and have your evening back. Falcons fans, stop panicking, okay? Yeah. Let Matt Ryan is not a mascot. We just can't. I saw someone on one of my shows was like, we need information. We need updates. Who is we? And why you feel like the Falcons got to update on every little detail? They're in the background cooking and doing their work. Hopefully, the announcement that is made makes a whole lot of sense, but we don't need to know every single move. I think they said they only announce if they interview somebody, but that's it. Until they make their decision, that's all you're going to get. So just remember that, people. Okay. All right. Our guy is probably still playing this weekend. Let's keep it real. So, all right, y'all. Good night. Have a great evening. See you guys Saturday. Have a great
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Bye.